What is up, my friends? Welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today, man, I don't know. I've been sitting here for a little while today, playing some games. I was playing some Witcher, checking out some Cyberpunk, some Hogwarts Legacy, some Ghost Recon, just going through some of my games and looking at them and like really trying to study the visuals. Playing around with some of the settings and stuff. I don't normally do that. I normally just throw everything on ultra, run through that, and like I don't understand, how can I be the only gamer in the world that does not think that DLSS like I don't think DLSS looks good at all. Like I don't like it. I don't think it's okay, let me rephrase that. I do appreciate the FPS gain that you get from it. It does work very well for that. But the overall image quality, I don't like it. After sitting here today and just looking at all my games that I was playing around with, and I'm just looking at the visuals, and I'm looking and seeing just how dense and beautiful and full of just like character and life that they look on this 7800 XT. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, dude, I never get this feeling when I have my Nvidia GPU in. I never feel like that. I always feel like it just seems superficial or fake or it's missing something. It just never feels quite right to me, or it never looks quite right to me. And that's weird, you know, because if it's true and it's a proven fact that it looks exactly the same, you would think that I would see and feel and be able to notice that it looks the same. I can't. I can't see that, and I don't understand why I can't come to that same conclusion that everybody else does. I mean, and it's the same way. Like, I could be playing the exact same game on the PlayStation versus the Xbox, and it just looks better on the Xbox. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, according to Digital Foundry, they look identical, or the PlayStation looks better. But every time I turn on the PlayStation version and then I look at the Xbox version, I'm like, gosh dang, man, that looks way better on the Xbox. I can't explain it. I don't know what it is. Clearly I lack the vocabulary to explain it right. But I get other people that come to the channel, that come to the comment section, and they tell me, yeah, man, like AMD looks incredible. I never felt this way on the Nvidia GPUs either. And that just baffles me. It absolutely blows my mind that there's so much disparity in the way that people feel over you know, something simple as just looking at an image and looking at one and being like, wow, that looks incredible, and then looking at the other one and being like, wow, that doesn't look as good as that one, but this one here looks better. It's pretty weird. It's almost like a certain company is out there just like paying people to always talk about it and like build that like, oh yeah, this is good and that's bad, this is good and that's bad. Because I've been trying, I've been playing around with some FSR again today, FSR 2, FSR 1, looking at that, playing around with some different combinations, you know, like setting my like using virtual super resolution, bumping up my resolution, and then kicking FSR down to the poorest quality you can get, which is ultra performance, and that, according to everybody, that is just the absolute trash, bottom of the barrel, shouldn't even use it, never even try it, type upscaling. But why do I get incredible results by utilizing that? Yeah, everybody else, it's trash. It's absolute. Well, not when I say everybody else, I mean all of my colleagues here on YouTube, all the ones that get the free Nvidia GPUs, the ones that scream up and down, you know, that like, yeah, DLSS is superior. What exactly is it superior in? Because I feel like I get better image quality on AMD, even using FSR2. Like, I feel like my image quality is better. I feel like I get more dense detail in the overall image quality, especially in like characters, hair, cloth, simulation. I will give Nvidia the one up on like rendering out like metallic surfaces and stuff, I think they do look. It's not that they look better. It's just I like the way that the metallic objects render. Even on PlayStation, Nvidia, I like the way that renders out a little bit better on those platforms. But when it comes to like everything else, you know, when it comes to vegetation, when it comes to stonework, when it comes to woodwork, when it comes to characters, fabric, when it comes to hair, when it comes to all of the other things that usually make up a game, the AMD experience looks superior to me in every way when it comes to that. But if you have, if it, like RoboCop does look superior to me on the Nvidia platform. It does. The overall, the way the metals and stuff look, that looks superior to me. Having a sharper overall, crisper, cleaner resolution type deal for that game actually does look pretty dang good. DLSS really does make RoboCop look incredible. So I'm not going to kick. You know, there are some games that do look good with DLSS, but not like I play so many different games, and there's so many different games that just don't look good to me with DLSS. RoboCop is one of those ones where I don't feel like I'm losing image quality when I turn on DLSS. I'm definitely getting more of a because there's so much metallic objects in there and like glass and stuff like that. I do kind of feel like Nvidia renders glass too better. So there are those things that Nvidia does, you know, seem to render better and make look a little bit better in my eyes for sure. But to say that like one platform is completely trash and the other one is better, I feel like it would be better if we had it. I mean, if these technologies were combined, I think that all gamers would win and be able to experience things a little bit differently. Now, PlayStation is very good as well as rendering like glass and steel and stuff like that. The geometry engine or whatever that thing that they use in the PlayStation 5. I do think that handles a lot of that type of stuff, and I think it is absolutely superior to what, you know, like the Xbox or these AMD cards are running, and that's like third party tech, or, you know, first party, you know, like their secret sauce in the PlayStation. And I do think that looks pretty dang good, and so there are things that I do like and appreciate about Nvidia. That there are. In terms of like, you know, DLSS versus FSR, they both provide more frames per second and better, like not better than native, but they do handle giving you a 4K image quality pretty good. I think it's a hit or miss when it comes to 1440p. Sometimes it doesn't do anything. Sometimes it ruins the image, especially with DLSS. I think the lower the resolution you go down with DLSS, the more it hurts the image quality. In my honest opinion, FSR, because of the softer, you know, more. I think that FSR handles image quality just a little bit better, but it does kind of have. The lower you go down in resolution, it really starts to suffer with you know, like resolving fine lines and stuff like that, or straight lines, or dealing with aliasing and things like that. So in my mind, when I'm looking at like FSR, if I use that in conjunction with virtual super resolution, you know, bumping up my overall resolution and then downsampling back to 1440p and using like FSR ultra quality, I can't tell a difference. It looks incredible to me. It looks just fine. I'm like, wow, that looks really, really good. But I don't ever really get that feeling on Nvidia unless I am looking at something, you know, like RoboCop. And there's been a few other games that really do look pretty decent on the Nvidia platform, even with using DLSS. It just sometimes, I mean, it definitely makes that more metallic stuff, you know, pop out a little bit better. But I mean, for the most part, AMD is no slouch, and I can easily live without that little bit because most of the type of games that I play don't really do that. And here's another one. Forza Motorsport on the Nvidia platform does run a little bit smoother for sure. It does. There's no way I can try to deny that. But that game, if you're not using DLSS, the image quality is very unstable. Where it's not like that on AMD, but the frame rate is unstable. So either way, it's like it still needs some work. Forza Motorsport on PC definitely needs some work, and that does kind of suck. But I would like to see them fix this. They said that there's not going to be really any improvements with this update that it just got, and I've yet to even check that. But I don't know. I think that's why I'm able to stay really, really excited about the AMD platform. I mean, we're going over 6 months, almost 7 months, and I am still in the honeymoon phase when it comes to AMD. Like, I like this platform. I like this experience. I think it is absolutely incredible. And like, I always get that, like, oh my gosh, this just looks so good feeling all the time on the AMD platform. I do not get that with Nvidia often. I mean, they're few and far between with games and stuff. It like for some reason. Okay, so you guys have seen me cover Cyberpunk 2077 a lot. If you've been here on this channel a lot, and I'm always talking about like, oh yeah, that looks good. For some reason, when I turn on, DLSS with that, and the path tracing and all of that stuff, and I lose the perception of the image quality, that I'm used to seeing. When I get back over on the AMD platform and I'm running that over there, it's one of those things where, like, Cyberpunk, man, maybe I'm just to a point where I'm just kind of over Cyberpunk's visuals. I mean, I've been playing it for 3 years. I've seen it so many times. I've seen it on so many different types of hardware. That I'm just getting to the point where, like, I get in there, like, it's raining now in the game every time I load into it now, and it just looks so flat and so dull. And it doesn't matter if I'm on the Nvidia GPU or the AMD GPU, it just looks flat and dull. And I'm just like, gosh dang, man, I remember this game looking fabulous, but now I don't know. I don't know what to say about it anymore, man. I'm getting to the point where like the visuals of that game are just starting to kind of not excite me like they used to, and that's kind of weird. But I've kind of always been like that with a lot of games. That's why I don't really go back and play a whole lot of older games. I just, I'm like, the visuals, I need a little bit more texture, a little bit more detail. Like, I'm used to that now, and I want to keep seeing that. But I know that these videos seem to frustrate you Nvidia guys. Like, I get it, man, but that's why that's the good thing about being an individual and not having somebody do my thinking for me, or telling me what I have to like, or telling me what I like. I get to make up my own mind, and that's very cool. Like, I really appreciate that, and I'm glad that I was blessed and given free agency, and that I'm able to use use my site and use my own to be able to lean on your own self to figure out exactly what you like. Because let's face it, there's nothing but, there's so much influence out there that if we're not able to make up our own minds and see things for ourselves, that kind of sucks, man. Because when Forspoken came out, everybody was just negative about it, and it kind of hurt that game a lot. And that's a game that I really, really liked last generation. But now that people are actually getting it on sale and they're playing it, and there's more positivity about it, people are actually starting to see that, like, dang, man, this is a pretty cool game. But yeah, it could have been longer. It could have been bigger. Obviously the story was written out for a second game. There was supposed to be a second game, obviously, to that. And I was, I'm kind of a little bit like, oh man, I really hope that we'll get to finish that. But at the same time, I'm like, with so much hype for these products, like PlayStation 5, Xbox, 4K 60, blah blah blah. the Nvidia with their DLSS, AMD with their freaking, FSR, and AMD's fluid motion frames and frame generation and all of this nonsense, man. It just gets to the point where I feel like we don't actually appreciate anything anymore the way we should appreciate things, and that really sucks. That really does suck. It gets to a point where these companies are putting out this stuff, like DLSS and all of this stuff to make our experience better, but at the same time they're basically encouraging us to use it and depend on it and to be like, yeah, man, this is the best. When in reality, I mean, these things are supposed to be there for it as a choice, but I feel like they're being forced on us. I feel like we're being. I feel like they're forcing us to just swallow it and be like, yeah, okay, this is the way we should play. And like I said, like I have my moments with DLSS where it looks good. And then I have like I would say like 90% of it, I just don't care for DLSS. I don't like what it does to my image quality. And the same thing with FSR. Like I don't rely on FSR when I'm playing on my AMD cards, but I am willing to go and check things out. I'm willing to go and see things. Like I don't utilize AMD's fluid motion frames on everything. If I'm above 60 FPS and I'm not testing something or trying to show it off on the channel or making content, I don't usually turn it on. Like I don't need 130 frames to play an open world game. I play them slow enough to where that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like I like to sit back and dawdle, take in my video games and play around with them and explore and do all of that kind of stuff. So some things just don't matter like they do to a lot of people. And I feel like we're getting. I feel like some of the comments on this channel, they get pretty divisive and stuff. It's like they want me to love Nvidia and DLSS and all of this stuff. But when I mention AMD or anything, then they freak out. They're like, oh, you're going to like FSR, but you don't like DLSS? No, I don't like DLSS that much. I don't. I do not like what it does to my image quality. I prefer to play native over DLSS any day of the week. When I'm running my games on my Nvidia GPU and they're native, they look just fine. Like it looks pretty good. When I turn on DLSS and I feel like I lose my image quality, I don't like that. I don't want watered down visuals to give me higher frame rates and an over sharpening effect and all of that stuff. And I guess getting in there and like turning down the sharpening and all of that stuff. I don't really care much for it. I like AMD. It's a far more user friendly experience that just delivers an impeccable image quality without a whole lot of tinkering and playing around with things and setting things up. And AMD is just great. Like it's got global settings I can get in there and play around with, and it works, and it just works. It's beautiful, and I love it. So yeah, dude, I absolutely recommend AMD over Nvidia any day of the week, because I just think that if you get it and you play with it and you see what I'm seeing, and you're like, oh yeah, dude, this is not nowhere near as bad as these other guys try to make it out to sound. I mean, like, you've already got AMD dropping the price of like the 7900 XT, which is an absolute monster of a card, and it's like, dude, every time you do this, AMD, you look weak. You reinforce the negative connotation that is built up around you, because Nvidia brings out a card that they should have brought out in the first place to match the cards that you already got out, and now you're going to drop the price to remain competitive. Like, no, these cards are awesome. It's literally a couple of frames, maybe a 8%. I really hate how they do that, like 8%. And then you look at and then you pause it and you look at the frame graph and it's like 4 frames, and you're like, that's 4 frames. That's like pissing in the wind. Are you really gonna notice 4 frames? Really you're gonna notice that? But he's got DLSS and he's got ray tracing, and oh my gosh, man, this is exhausting. it's exhausting trying to deal with this like on a daily basis to listen to this stuff, and I'm just like, wow, dude. I mean, I could get it if I like DLSS or I was getting paid to like DLSS. It'd be a different story, but I don't get paid to like DLSS. I have to rely on my own. I have to rely on myself to decide if I like it or not. And dang, man, I don't like it. And yeah, dude, I don't think Nvidia is ever going to convince me that DLSS is better than native resolution. Like I don't think that's even possible. I don't think Nvidia could ever convince me that going to 1440p and downsampling to 14, or going to 4K and downsampling to 1440p, it like you're never going to convince me the DLSS looks better than that, because it doesn't. It doesn't. It's not even close. So, all right, my friends, I'm sorry for making another DLSS bad. FSR. I'm not even saying FSR is good. You know what I mean? Like I'm saying that both of these technologies are just there to try to help you get a higher frame rate, and I don't think that DLSS does a really good job at like making the your overall image quality look any better. It's the same thing with the PlayStation 5 and their quality 40 FPS mode. You lose image quality by using that, and it's the same with DLSS. You are losing image quality. FSR honestly is the only one I don't feel like I'm losing any image quality. Like the image still looks dense, it still looks beautiful. And so I don't feel like I'm losing any image quality, but I do get a little bit of instability depending on what level I'm on. I do get, some of the flickering type stuff that everybody talks about. And I mean, obviously it's there, but okay, man, I'm going to go. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate you guys coming tonight. We'll see you guys later.